Kat here to do a little monthly wrap up and what I'm gonna be reading next week type of thing. So that's gonna be fun. Also, Batman is here to join me, as you can tell, as well as Hannibal. Actually, look at him. Look at his little murdering face. Adorable. So let's start with the physical books I read. Cause I also read a lot of Marvel Now books and Kindle. So let's start with the real ones because they're right here. So the first book I finished was Sandman Overture by Neil Gaiman. I want to get through the Sandman series so I can, well, at least until Lucifer shows up in the Sandman series, because then I have like a little more reference when I read Lucifer, because now I own all of the Lucifer comics, which is amazing. So yeah, I've already read this. It's beautiful. The cover is beautiful. Everybody should read this. I love Dream. I prefer Death's everything because she's sparky and cool, and I love her. I love her. But Dream's also cool at times when he's not being really dramatic about everything. Then the book after that, I read volume 1 of Sandman, which is actually my least favorite in the Sandman series, even though I still gave this 5 stars. It's because I feel like Neil Gaiman packed way too much into it, and like there's this one part that's really, really gross that never really comes back again. I don't know if Neil Gaiman was just like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't do that, but yeah. And plus the art's not as good in the first volume, especially when you get to J.H. Williams the third artwork. I mean, look how cool that artwork is compared to this one. So yeah, it's still good. I mean, it's still like a starter of a series, and I appreciate it a lot more now than when I first read the series, because the first time I was like, why should I continue? This is weird. But now I understand everything, so yeah. The next 2 books I read was Batman Volume 3. I accidentally read this one first, and then I read Volume 2. But I read this one first by accident, and I had no idea what was going on, but I was like, maybe I have to read Wonder Woman, because you know sometimes DC and Marvel do that. You have to read like a whole nother volume to really understand what's going on. But then I was looking at my shelf, and there was volume 2, and I was flipping through it and trying to see if like it somehow was connected after I finished volume 3. And turns out I never read this one, or at least I forgot so much of it that I was like, what's going on? So yeah, read them both. This is also artwork by J.H. Williams III, and he's becoming one of my favorite artists from DC. I know he just recently, I think, got fired or blah 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 because of something to do with Batwoman. Once I get to volume 4 or something, I'll figure it out. So, but yeah, he's one of my favorite artists now, so that's cool. And I gave both volumes 4 stars. Next book I read, I didn't quite read all of it. I kind of just flipped through it, and I'll continue flipping through it like every once in a while. But I consider it read because I was just, I read it pretty much. And that is the Hannibal Art Design. And it just gives you a little more insight of Hannibal Lecter's character on the Hannibal show. I do kind of like the cookbook a little bit more because the cookbook was weird because each thing that they eat on the show is actually a representation of what Hannibal is thinking as they're eating it, which is kind of cool, which is a little more like a lot more insight than what this did. This was like an insight on why they chose the colors, why they what they did, like the copycat killer, how they decided to do that. They have this. Though they did have one of my favorite kills, so I'm going to show you. It's my favorite kill on the show because it's a representation of the poison and beauty of Will Graham that Hannibal did, and I just he's so childish. Hannibal is so childish that he's just like, you know what? You're like poisonous flowers to my soul, and I'm just like, Hannibal, stop, please. The next book I read was Tale of the Body Thief by Anne Rice. I gave this one, I believe, 5 stars because I loved it because David is a monster and I love him. I love David so much, and if you don't know who David is, he's the head of the Talamasca, well, superior general of the Talamasca, and he's Lestat's like side thing when Louis not around. and I love David. So much prefer him over Louis. Why is Louis even existing when David is looking there, standing all sexy? Anyway, if you don't know what Tale of the Body Thief is, it's about Lestat changing bodies with a human, and this human decides to steal his body. Kind of in the title, but David. David. The next book I read was actually the very first book I read of the month, and this is where we start going to the Kindle books, is Catalyst by James Lucruno. And I did not like this, which is weird because I really like James. He's in one of my favorite books in all of Star Wars, which is Tarkin, because I just love Tarkin. I don't know if it's because he's a good writer or just I really like Tarkin. I don't know. But anyway, I did not like this. This was boring. It follows Glenn Urso and his family, how he has to choose science over family or family over science, and it was not good. It was really, 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 really slow. And when it finally got into action, it was been 2 months, because it took me 2 months to read this book, which doesn't really happen to me. But yeah, did not like it, but I was generous and gave it 3 stars when really it's a 2-star book. And the only reason I count it even as a 2-star book is because I love how freaking childish Orson Krennic is. I love his childish attitude, and I love him and Tarkin talking. The next book, 2 books I read, was Volume 2 of Darth Vader comic book series. And then Vader Down, which is not part of the Darth Vader series, but it is part of the Darth Vader series. But Volume 2, I gave 4 stars. I gave this one 3 stars. I did not enjoy it. They changed writers, and you can tell because this is done with the writer from the Darth Vader series as well as the writers from the Star Wars series that Marvel makes. And makes me hesitant to read the Star Wars series now because I really didn't like the writing in this. I thought it was really fast-paced. I didn't really know what was going on. Maybe I do have to read the Star Wars series to understand this. I don't know. I just know the meetup between Darth Vader and the Star Wars gang was not quite as noteworthy as everybody was saying. So, yeah. The Darth Vader series takes place between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, if you didn't know that. The next book I read was Girl with the Ghost Eyes, and if you like Studio Ghibli films, you will love this book. If you love Hidden Dragon, Crouching Tiger, aka any martial arts movie ever with, spirits and revenge and chicks kicking ass, you will like this book. It's fun. I love it. I want it to be an anime or Studio Ghibli film, but mostly an anime because I always want to see more anime. I'm a freak. And then the last book I read was Every Heart a Doorway by Shannon McGurry, and this is just about these kids that go through doors that lead to other worlds, and then they find themselves back in our world, and they have to deal with it and have to adapt. But luckily there's a school that totally believes them and is with people who also go through these doors, and they all try to help each other out, except one of them goes crazy and starts murdering people. And so half of the book is about growing up and trying to adapt to a world that you used to live in but no longer understand. And then the other half is a murder mystery mayhem. And I loved it. I gave this 4 stars. I highly recommend it. It is a novella, so you can finish it in a day. And if you're want some diversity, has asexual, transsexual, and there's something else. I don't know, some really weird girls. It's awesome. And Mad Scientist. It just has everything in such a short little story, and it doesn't feel like it's overpacked with random stuff. So, yeah, read it. Love it. I want the second book, even though the second book is a prequel. I don't care. I want it. I want it. So, on to currently readings type of thing. I want to at least finish 4 books by the next time I do a video at some point next week. I don't know when, but I will hopefully finish 4 books, or at least be started on the 4th one that I want, right? Hopefully, maybe. So the one that I'm currently reading and is 6 pages in is Memnoch of the Devil by the 5th book in the Anne Rice series. I'm hoping to finish this fairly quickly, but Anne Rice novels are I read them really slow because every time Lestat starts crying, I just have to put down the book and be like, "You're better than this, Lestat. You need to stop crying. You're almost 300 years old. Think we'll be done with this, but we ain't. He still cries all the time. He's worse than Strider in Lord of the Rings, man. And that's saying something. Because if you read the Lord of the Rings books, that man never stops crying." Next is I want to read Darth Vader Volume 3 because I want to read Darth Vader Volume 3. I want to finish the series. So, and then the book after that, I'm not quite sure. I'm trying to find it. I'm not quite sure which one I want to read. I just know I want to read a Star Wars novel, but it's either going to be Aftermath by Chuck Weedling because my coworker gave me book 2, so I had to go out and buy book 1. So I want to get to it because we've been talking about Star Wars nonstop since Rogue One. So I'm either going to read this one or I'm going to read the novelization of Rogue One because I want to know about Chirrut and Baz Baze. I want to know more. I don't care about her actually. She's like I didn't like her in this movie, which is kind of bad to say. I was like, "Where's Rey? I'd rather have Leia or something. I don't want this." She annoyed me. I wanted more Galen actually because I like Mads Mikkelsen, but I heard the novelization of it was a lot better than the Force Awakens novelization. So yeah, and plus like right from the bat, it's like Galen Erso hates farming, and I'm like, I didn't get that he hated farming from the movie. I'm already getting insight. Already more. I know more now. I know a lot more. Galen and I are meant to be. I don't care about Lara. What? I don't even remember her name. Don't like her. And then last but not least, the book I want to read is Fire Touched by Patricia Briggs. I tried this book last year. I got like halfway through and then I stopped reading it because of reasons that I will not go into because I forgot them. But this will be the last one until I'm finally caught up with the Mercy Thompson series. So then I can go on to other paranormal. Is this paranormal romance or an urban fantasy? I count more as urban fantasy. The romance isn't like that like the J.R. Ward series. Oh, I hate that series so much. But this one I would say is more of like urban fantasy with some romance. I prefer Stefan though. I don't really like Adam. Though he does grow on you like a fungus. But yeah, that's what I'm currently reading and stuff I finished. And hopefully I will get to these books. If not, they'll totally freaking change because I do that all the time. Every time I'm like, I will read this. I'm like, nah, I'll read something else. So it may change. But cheers!